Hey guys, I wanted to come on here and talk about a hot topic in the personal development space for men, and that's semen retention. I want to share how it's really helped me in this next phase of my life after divorce, and how it can also help you tap into this superpower that can literally transform your life after a breakup or even a divorce. One of the things I wanted to share with you is a quote from one of my favorite books on masculinity. It's called The Way of the Superior Man by David Dita. If you haven't read this book, highly recommended. There is a quote that reminds me of why I started this journey over 5 years ago. In one particular chapter, he's talking about orgasm, and he says it feels great for a few moments, but the price you pay for the genital sneeze of ejaculation is a much higher level of mediocrity in your life. It's crazy when I discovered the practice of semen retention and nofap 5 years ago. It caught me off guard. Like all of this content started showing up on YouTube. I was watching this YouTuber at the time. His name is Captain Sinbad. He started his whole channel on doing content on this practice, and it was just crazy to see his transformation when he was going on streaks. Coming on camera and saying that it feels like this violent power within him, and that he has so much vigor in life. I was like, what is this doing to people? And I wanted to see what it could do for me. For those of you who aren't familiar with this practice, essentially nofap semen retention, it boils down to not releasing your sexual energy through watching a screen. Can't say the word because YouTube doesn't like that, but not watching a screen, masturbating and orgasming, having an orgasm to that. When I was starting to learn about some of these benefits and how some of us have been living with this like unknown addiction for years, it really resonated with me because I don't know about you guys, but I grew up in the early 80s. And so the way that you learn about, watching a screen is through VHS tapes, magazines. It wasn't even free back then. So this was like, you discovered it as a kid when you were curious about sex. You heard, like you talk about at school, you talk about like the female body parts, male body parts, like boobs, and you wanted to explore what that looked like as you got older. And so, eventually your curiosity leads you to, feeling this for the first time, and then eventually over the years you start to utilize it as like a vice in life, like cigarettes and alcohol, without even recognizing it. And it was interesting. I was reading an article, and one person was commenting, it's such a prevalent addiction amongst men because it's the one addiction that nobody will know that you have. You could hide it. No one will ever know that you're doing it because there's no real visible side effects compared to being addicted to drugs, for example, or addicted to alcohol. So this is like a prevalent issue that's affecting men globally, and one of the problems is that a lot of us aren't aware of it. And so when I started to realize like how long I've been living with this, I started to see some of the negative effects that it was having in my life, especially when it came to relationships, and also just my willpower as a man to just fight through adversity. And so, you know, uh, as soon as I started to do this practice, you'll hear about streaks. In my experience, the streak doesn't matter as much. It's you'll hear about like 7 day benefits, 1 month benefits, going 1 year, like 30, 60, 90. At the end of the day, like I started feeling the effects of it after about 2 weeks. And when you can go on a streak for like about 2 weeks, you actually start to feel mental clarity and this energy that just gets you up in the morning. One of the things that I really realized after I started doing this practice for quite a few years was how far off from normal I was, um, when I was doing that kind of stuff versus actually retaining my sexual energy. Like, if I think back, I was actually doing it at least once a day, which was a lot. And back then, I thought it was normal. But when you stop doing that, you essentially stop giving your brain this dopamine hit, this instant gratification on a daily basis, and that's where I think it's very hard for people to get on a streak, because you become so accustomed to this new level of normalcy or this pleasure that as soon as you crash, you just want to go back and do it again so that you feel better. It's interesting. Captain Sinbad, that same YouTuber I mentioned earlier, he actually did a video on the neuroscience of NoFap, and he compared it to a drug addict who's using heroin and cocaine. When you release through Scream, that dopamine hit is almost, if not just as high as the dopamine hit when they take a hit of their drug, and the withdrawal, the crash is literally virtually the same. And so, when I saw that, I was like, wait a second, like this is why it's so hard for me to stop, is because again, I've become accustomed to this new normal. So when you have like awareness, it just makes it a little bit easier to do this practice, like knowing how damaging it can be. And it's not easy. Like I was trying to go for a long streak at first. I was successful at doing like 7 days, and then I relapsed. I did another 7 days, I relapsed again. So it takes numerous tries. But the longest streak that I had at this point, leading up until this point, was about 8 months. And it's crazy. Like, I'm not saying you have to do 8 months, but when you retain for like that long period of a time, um, you become like more sensitive and more present in life. Not having that instant gratification that to that extreme on a daily basis, really, you can really start to see the effect that it had. And for me, where it really changed my life in this next phase, was in two major areas. It was my ability to connect with women, specifically intimacy, and also like just overall energy. And as Captain Sinbad said, vigor. So I'll talk about those two. When it came to, having relationships again, after my divorce, the fact that I had a lot of this energy inside me, I don't know how to best describe it, but I felt like I could connect more on a deeper level with women, especially when we were being intimate together. And I think this has to do with the fact that, you think about when you're looking at a screen and you're getting off to that, you start to realize, wait a second, like I'm actually being aroused by voyeurism instead of actually being in the present moment. And so, I thought back to like those intimate experiences that I had when I had sex with women, while I was doing that. If I'm honest with myself, like they were just like my masturbation toy. You weren't really like connecting with the woman deeply. You were like using them, and in some cases like thinking about like that scene that got you off, and they were just your human your human vehicle vessel, to release it. Like it was just sickening to me. So when you stop that for a while and you finally have this energy built up, and you finally have the opportunity to connect with a woman, especially, have sex again, it was just like amazing, like night and day difference. And the connection I'm talking about is that like you're looking in their eyes, you're not thinking about anything but being specifically with that person. And talking about the energy, this built up energy, it's really an exchange now of masculine and feminine energy. There's like this balance in the heat of the romance that I never felt before, because I was deeply connected and because I had more energy. And one of the side benefits too, if you haven't read about this already, is that it can potentially help cure ED. Like I could perform better than I ever had before and longer than I ever had before. And that was like a huge confident booster in the bedroom. So like this practice literally changed how I could connect deeply with women. And again, intimacy in the bedroom was a huge area that I was very uncomfortable with, and also not confident in, after my divorce, because I wasn't having a lot of it to begin with. So I was feeling like ashamed and like a loser. But this completely changed everything for intimacy. So that was one of the real benefits, big benefits of doing this practice. And the second benefit is, again, just this sheer energy that you have built in. Like I have this willpower to just face the world and just do everything necessary that I need to without like hesitation for the most part. Yeah, there's still that inner critic, but it's so much easier to just silence it because you have this like this like pent up like energy. I don't even want to call it anger, but you're just like you just want to be aggressive with life. You probably hear stories about like Mike Tyson, abstaining for 5 years because he wanted to be the greatest champion in the world, and look at what he was able to accomplish. Like that guy was a monster, right? Even there was even a memoir about Steve Jobs with one of his ex-girlfriends where he came back from a trip from India, wanted to do tantric sex, and didn't want to release because he didn't want to lose his energy so he could build his empire. And look at what he accomplished. And it's also referenced in many personal development books, written by some great authors. I mentioned, Napoleon Hill, David Dita, but that's just the beginning of the list. There's so many more. So, and then not only that, you got to look at like the religious and spiritual leaders who are talking about things like brahmacharya, abstinence, and the power it can give to a man. So, when I was starting to explore this back then, I was very open to just absorbing whatever information I could. But that piece about the energy, like harnessing this energy and being able to transmute it into your life to build and to transform, it's absolutely true. It was super helpful for me, especially when I was on my fitness journey. I felt way more energy, but also that not only that, more motivation to go to the gym and stay consistent. So this has been a life-changing practice, and I believe it should be a foundation of all men's health, physical health, as well as mental health. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this was insightful, and I hope it encourages you to try this practice or to also stay on the path. It's not easy. And at the end of the day, it's not about streaks, guys. Okay, like whatever you'll see, I used to watch a lot of content about, oh yeah, 30, 60, 90 days, I got to do 1 year. This is a lifestyle change, guys. This is not like a challenge that you start and stop all of a sudden because you hit a certain number of days. This is a lifestyle change for life. And when it becomes a lifestyle, it just changes everything in this next chapter. So I hope this finds you at the right time. I'd love to hear in the comments below how this practice has also helped change your life. Otherwise, have an awesome day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace out.